Hello and welcome to another video. So we're playing a Vengeance Blood list, the similar one to the JCG list that I played before. It's actually, I'm pretty sure it is the JCG list, hence the title up the top there. So hopefully you guys can enjoy it. It's still doing pretty well, honestly. I've dropped 1 game out of 4, which is pretty good. So honestly, consistent and doing quite well as an aggressive deck. It works really nicely. Of course, you will have a hard time if they drag it out or ward up really heavily. That's where some matches can get really awkward, but outside of those, you can quite easily win a game before turn 6, sometimes even earlier if you get lucky. So we'll get right into some games and check it out. Okay, so our first matchup here is against Dragon. Dragon being a reasonable deck to verse with this because they do have a slower early game most typically, which makes it fairly easy for you to swarm the board and get some aggressive damage out, especially with things like Goblin on turn 1. Really going to get in some nice chip damage. So Angel of the Word should be able to strike pretty easily against this Dragon as well, being able to ping off something or just ping them in general. The Goblin, of course, I mean, what other play were we going for? Honestly, that was the only one in this line that was going to be good. And the Razory Claw, cleaning up the Dragon's face on 2. Really getting that 4 damage in 2 turns. Really, really good. Technically in 1 turn, but over 2 turn setup, so not bad at all. Now, we could focus on removing this, or we can just set up against it. I chose to set up against it, keeping my blood drinking brand, just because I wanted to hold on to that. Of course, we do pay for it a little bit with this play, but beggars can't be choosers sometimes, and I still felt like that was the right way to go with it. Pure-Hearted Singer gives us the nice little bit of draw power that we might want here, along with the fact that we can use it for a trade, along with gain the extra last word effect of drawing even another card, which this deck does quite well. Being able to draw cards is very important when you're playing Vengeance. So, Sybil, of course, we should have expected that. Be gone. The evolve on it doesn't surprise me either. I mean, of course they're going to evolve, that's the smart play here.
Did you like it?
And we actually have a pretty solid line of play going into the next turn, being able to use Blood Drinker's Brand to remove the Sybil and hit off this 2-1 with another card, so it really works out in our favour.
Hey, check this out!
Tremble in fear!
Still room for improvement.
Of course, Goatman doing his job, getting some damage in while drawing us a card, always works out nicely.
I want it. It's like gold to me.
And we go straight to Vengeance. We're looking to clear out this 5-5, get 4 damage to the face, set up a nice little ward, and hopefully go for as much damage as possible in the next turn. Our only real risk would be to something like Israfil. Ouroboros isn't actually too bad at all. Although we don't have a way to directly answer Ouroboros in the sense that we can't banish it, so it is just going to be a reoccurring problem. It is something that we don't really need to deal with too much as long as it's taken care of in a single turn. So we do get the Scarlet, which is a pretty nice draw, and going to work really well.
First, quench them.
Gives us that couple of extra health that should keep us out of range of anything too crazy, or more so something too basic. Like this Scyther here, it would have been a pretty close game if they had been able to get that up, instead of having to force trade.
I beg your pardon.
We also don't need much damage. Fortunately, they left this Goblin up, probably the biggest mistake they could have made. They would have been very close to securing the game had they struck the Goblin. Fortunately for us, the Goblin is what they hit, so we get to go face for as much as we want.
You're a solid fighter.
Next up is a very, very close Haven game. Haven always keeps me on my toes, especially Ilya, because she is pretty cute after all. So we've got our Bahamut and our Spider Imp, along with a Savage Wolf being a pretty solid beginning. I mean, we can open that pretty nicely, being able to throw the Savage Wolf to face on 3, and hopefully setting up the Bahamut on 2, provided our opponent isn't playing anything too major that turn. Fortunately, no Goblin as an opener. An opening Goblin would have been perfect for this setup. But we do get pretty lucky. I mean, the Bahamut just shows us how much pull it's got, pulling us that Scarlet, which will come in really handy on 5. And Beastly Val, so double of those. Not really a big problem. We can still push this 4 damage here, and they aren't exactly answering these efficiently or quickly in the next couple of turns, so no major threat at this point. So Priest on 4, obviously just trying to curve out as best as possible. Our Blood Drinkers does take care of that really nicely, while letting us deal 6 to the face. So I could have spread the damage out a bit more, not that it would have made a major difference, but if I had have spread it onto the Bahamut, it could have been maybe a slightly better play. But the 6 in general is perfect on turn 4. March Hare's Tea Time would have created the same problem I was going to be in now. Honestly, I think they would have had a better time dealing with it if I had evolved the Bahamut, because it would have been a direct trade instead of a kind of partial trade and then having to hit for 4 instead of 2, which worked out better in our favour. The Scarlet's also going to contest this perfectly now instead, so evolving the Savage will end up working out long term quite nicely.
Check this out.
One bite's all I need.
So all we really need to do now is set up a way for us to go for lethal as quickly as possible. We already have Dark General, which is nice. If we do get into Vengeance, that will work really well. And of course, that was a perfect answer to my board. Kind of unfortunate. But we do have the chance now to easily go and kill off most of this stuff while going face. So I planned this out reasonably well, with the Blood Drinker brand and the Hungering Horde all lining up nicely to kill off the entire thing and throw the extra damage to the face while setting myself up into Vengeance for hopefully a potential lethal, but this ward, not so lucky, blocking out everything I could throw. Furious, it's not really enough. And a second Dark General, again, not quite enough for this turn.
I'm powerless. For now.
But the Urias could allow us to get at least a ping off here, and with the Priest coming down, it is going to. At least he got a single ping, which means a single Dark General evolved would be enough to clear this. Of course, we do need to find any card to remove this 3/7. Belf, not really what we wanted. I mean, I couldn't see an out where I could clear that and go for lethal at the same time, so this unfortunately was my next best play. And since I am in lethal range at 4 health, throwing the Dark General against this 4/4 was my only option. I mean, the only way they would have had lethal from this point was to throw a Summit Temple onto the board at the same time as throwing another Heavenly Knight. I think that was their only actual answer to killing me this turn.
False idols can't save our world.
Fortunately, we got the best top deck luck in the game, drawing our Razory Claw for a perfect setup lethal.
Ow.
Fortunately, Demonic Storm wouldn't have worked, it wouldn't have been enough damage, and otherwise I would have been forced to play Bahamut and hope. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, be sure to check this deck out in the description below, along with any other important Shadowverse links or any kind of news. You can always check my channel, hit that like button and subscribe for more content, and I will catch you guys next time. See ya.